Can you hear me now? Gibson Power coming at you live and direct. I am August Siri, original hard rock artist from Northern Vermont, USA. Originally from Southern Vermont, for those of you who care. Most of you probably don't. Professional bass player for many years, many decades. Probably longer than some of you have been alive. I know, I'm old now. But that's okay. I am groovy rocking in my oldness. I'm going to do a cam check because it looks like I tilted a little bit there. Not sure. I think my mount might be a little loose. Well, that's okay. We can fix the loosey-goosey. All right, what do we got here? Yeah, it did tilt a little bit. Sorry, folks. Got a little loosey-goosey on you here. And looks like we're good. So just doing a little workshop today, folks, on, I guess the topic will be preparing for MP3s, like when I'm doing studio mixdowns. I haven't done one in a while because they don't get the reaction that this stuff gives, you know, interaction and all that kind of stuff, you know, with my audiences, you know. My fan base and all that for years and years now with my original hard rock music. I click more in video form, so that's why I do entire albums in video form sometimes. If you go back, I don't know where it is in my real history, but Dimensions might be on my old profile. I'm not sure. That was a full bass and vocal album I performed right here live, and I think there were 10 or 11 songs. Might have been 10. Yeah, that was the Hate Parade and other songs like that on there. Hard rock stuff on bass and vocals. No, excuse me. With my Rumble 500 and my USA P bass. And then I also did another one that was Soul Fog. I might have to redo Soul Fog because it's that 30-day deal. I didn't convert it, do the conversion reshare with it, and it ended up gone. So by the platforms, unfortunately, unless I can find it somewhere to reshare it, I'm going to have to redo that whole album, which is fine. I can redo it. It's not a big deal. I can do it right on Soundstage. I can use one of my sound stages, which reminds me, check out my, for those of you who follow my guitar work and original music here, go back and check out my Soundstage from the other day. That was a full on, you know, Soundstage performance of my newest original music here, written by yours truly. On this guitar, actually. So go back and check that out for those of you who like my hard rock stuff. That really is most of what I do here. And is that cam moving again? It looks like it's starting to go like this. I think I got to tighten up my cam mount. Oh my goodness. Looks like we're having technical issues with the cam mount now. What happens is, with this new cam mount system I'm using, it's just a tripod thing. I'm using it at the live shows as well. When I'm out live with other performers, is it this little... There we go. Yeah, it was loose. That's why. It will loosen up and then it'll move by itself. I noticed it. I was like, what? Did that just move? Or am I... somebody put something in my coffee, you know. None of that now. No unintended dosing. You know. Oh, God. All right. Now that we have that straightened out, should be. It looks like it's solid now. So it's really just going to be, I guess, sculpting parts for MP3s. And I know I've done sculpting parts type content with bass and guitar before, but this one would be specifically for MP3s only, studio only. So that introduction piece there is just... it's like an amalgamation of some parts taken from some of my original songs just to create an intro piece, really just for this workshop. Because you'll hear those chord patterns in some of my songs. You know, I like using open melodic chords like that, open position. Really works, especially with a wide open Les Paul. There really isn't any better sound out there, in my opinion, than a wide open Les Paul through a tube amp, you know. For hard rock, you know, obviously a Strat is your best guitar for clean blues sounds with a Fender Twin, not an orange all tube like I've got here. This is a British rock sound to it. So not this is a gear chat, but just what you choose for your gear does give you the different sounds, even though you can play anything with anything, right? But it gives you a different tone palette. That's why I guess some guitar players own like 10 different amps, you know. I'm not a gear junkie like that, and plus I don't want to pack up my space here with all kinds of gear. I did have that before, and I ended up selling some of it because I just piled up too much stuff here, you know, and I don't need 5 different amplifiers, you know what I'm saying? Even though it is good because each tube amp has its own character, just like every guitar and bass have their own character, right? But yeah, a Strat through a Fender Twin, you're not going to beat that sound for any kind of prog blues, even some classic rock stuff, obviously. Anything like that. A USA Strat, like what I buy on these, you know, professional 2-level, American Vintage, or Custom Shop. Even the Performers are good. They're entry-level ones, you know. As long as it's USA, I'm good, you know. That's just me. Their own, to each their own on that one. But the USA quality instruments are the best in the world. That's not just my opinion. I'm pretty sure that's, I mean, hello, Fender invented the electric bass in 1951. You know, it's kind of hard to beat a USA P bass for sound, durability, that classic iconic sound with a good quality electronics. They're not cheap Chinese knockoffs pretending to be something else. They're the real thing, made by the luthiers in the factory out in California. And with these, in this case of Gibson, it's Memphis, Tennessee, and then I think they have a factory in Montana for their acoustics. I think a smaller factory. It's either Montana or Colorado. I can't remember. I think it might be Montana, where they make their acoustic guitars. Don't quote me on that. I think they have another facility, but their main plant, I believe, is in Memphis, Tennessee. That's where the main Gibson factory is, where these are made. Again, American luthiers, you know, these things are very expensive for a reason. It's not just because you're paying for the name. That's people who are either jealous because you own one or have something negative to say about American-made instruments, don't know what they're talking about. Either because they're jealous or they just don't really know what they're talking about. One or the other. Because these are the best in the world, man. PRS is great too. My good friend Nate Machoud is a full-time musician, uses PRS and Ernie Ball USA made. Excellent. Those are both excellent. And I'm not just saying that because Nate, if you're watching this, I'm not just saying this to kiss your butt, bro. You're an amazing performer as well. It's true. It's, you know, that's reality. Fender, Gibson, USA, #1. PRS, Ernie Ball. Actually, Spectre USA is good. I used Spectre basses for years. I can show you some old photographs from past bands where I used those for about 10 years. And then about 20-something years ago, 25 years ago, I started. Mike Tromley from Advanced Music, you know who you are, the old co-owner of Advanced Music, told me something a long time ago. He's the guitar player for Quadra. That band's been around forever. He told me a long time ago, I spent a lot of money in that store over the years, you know. And he said, and I'll quote him exactly, he said, once you own a USA Fender or Gibson, well, he said Fender, but I think Gibson's kind of in line with that. He said, once you own a USA Fender, you'll never want to own anything else. He was right. For bass, that's me. You know, like for cars, I like Mopar, so I drive a Challenger V8, you know. For trucks, I like Ford. But for guitars, these guys, for sure. For my original hard rock sound, they work. Again, this is not a gear chat workshop, but you have to mention some details of that because that's what gives you the sounds that you're, you know, that you're using for your, whatever it is you're doing. If you're in a cover band or, you know, I could do classic standards on this all day long. I've got, where's my books here? Right here. I have my music books, notes, theory notes, tons of theory notes and stuff like that, yes, but also cover songs with lyrics and music parts and all different stuff, footnotes, whatever, of songs I can do on guitar and vocals. So why I don't market myself as a guitarist and vocalist, I have no idea. I just I can. I know I'm good enough to do it. It's just, and I have done it actually on stage. We used to switch out and reverse spin. Where I would play 3 songs on guitar and vocals, and then we would switch back. We had 2 frontmen in that band, 2 very good singers, much more experienced than I was at singing at that time. And they would give me the mic for like 3 songs. So I would do like some easier stuff I know I could handle, like Ramones, and I think I did Modern English song, and then I did Clash song. We did a Clash song. So I did like 3 songs, and then we'd switch back. And, the audiences always were receptive to that because it gave a different sound to the band even if it's just for 25 minutes or whatever, and then once we got back to the regular singers and our regular stuff that we did in our main show, it just gave a different sound for a little bit. That helps. If you have more than one singer, it always helps. And, again, they were going out there professionally long before I came along back in the 80s when I started playing with them. And of course, my nose is running again. Sorry. Jeez. Man, gotta love winter. So thanks for hanging out today, and all of you on the on the live feed. And those of you who check out the conversion reshare later on, thank you as well. Enough rambling. Get on with the topic, and that is preparing guitar parts, sculpting for MP3. So this would be studio-specific stuff. I'll show you, and what I'm going to do instead of explaining every, here's a major 7th, here's a dominant 7th, here's a minor 7th, here's, and going through and explaining what they are. That's up to you to learn that stuff, I'm assuming anybody who's watching this either just knows me, they're watching this because they know me, or they are experienced musicians like myself. So you need to take it upon yourself. I assume you already know how to play. That's what these workshops are for, more advanced stuff here. So I'm really just going to let the guitar do the talking instead of my mouth, which I've been doing for the last 5 minutes. I'm going to find a different beat sequence. And what I'm doing here, these are just example pieces. It may be an amalgamation like I did on the intro piece, or it may be just something I come up with off the fly to show you all. So let's find a beat sequence that'll work. That's pretty good. A little bit loud, but that's pretty good. Can you feel the power? I certainly can. So yeah, that's really it. It's what I did there was an example piece, and I guess that wasn't an amalgamation like the introduction piece I did to this workshop. It was more of a putting together some parts and touching on some areas melodically that I wanted to use, because I'm always thinking melody pretty much always when I'm on guitar, all the time, most of the time. Sometimes I'll get rhythmic, but most of the time I'm thinking, what kind of melody can I put over the top of that bass line, whether it's counterpoint, or first, second, and third inversions if I'm moving the root note around, or whatever the case may be, that's really, it's the same thought process that I use, whether I'm creating stuff on guitar or bass, is really the basic raw explanation principle of that. It's the same process, except for bass is bass clef, different frequency, different feel. This is treble clef, obviously, different instrument, different feel, but it's the same. They have the same notes in the same locations, just you have 2 more strings on this, unless you have a 12-string, 5-string bass, 9-string Conklin, or whatever it is. Whatever, I'm going by a 4-string bass, 6-string guitar, for your starting point. I don't really get into multi-string too much. I have played 5-string basses, own them. 6-string basses, own them. I was at the casino doing a show at the Aquasasi Casino, and that's a 6-string Ibanez that I bought it for a while just for that band that I was playing with over in New York. It was an Ibanez. It wasn't as high end as the stuff I have here normally, but it was just something because we had to play Hailstorm covers, which is all drop tune, because we had a female singer who was phenomenal. I did post some footage with that band over there. I'll repost it for the new people coming on board this year, but over in New York, me playing some shows. There's also some footage of me at the casino playing as well. I gotta find that footage and then repost it. I do have ones there's also at Peabody's in Plattsburgh, one of the shows there. Also from a VFW over there, I've got a couple pieces I recorded myself from there with that same band. Yeah, she's a phenomenal singer. Kim Chase, amazing singer, beautiful woman. And yeah, she was amazing. Just my wife got sick. I couldn't play with those guys anymore because, I was gone with those guys all weekend, every weekend, plus rehearsals during the week, and it was just too much at that time. It was great because they had the business aspect that I liked, but my wife was getting more sick, and not to get into explanation of history nobody cares about, but that's why I left that band over in New York, after about 6 months of commitment, and they tweaked out, ran their mouth, whatever. My wife was more important, then she passed away, so here we are 2 years later, and I'm still saying the same thing. I wouldn't have left that band if it wasn't for heavy personal stuff going on in my personal life with my soulmate, so I don't just leave projects if everything's going good and there's a good business end established, because I always preach this stuff. You want to practice what you preach, that I don't waste the time with a project if there's not a business end. If I'm going to spend time away from, my daughter, who I'm still taking care of here, and, she's 13. I have another daughter. She's older, off on her own, down southern Vermont from a previous, but whatever. She's all good. She's works and has her own life down there, But sometimes your personal life gets in the way of everything else, and because you have to take care of those things, that's the foundation of your life, I don't want to say music is more important than anything, because family is first, with me. But music takes a high priority in my life. It's just not more important than everything, because if that was the case, I'd still be playing over in New York, with those guys and girl. But, I just couldn't continue on. Then they replaced me. and continued on. And then I think their business guy passed away last year anyways. It was, I think it was, yeah, it wasn't, it was either last year. I think it might have been sometime last year, early last year or something. And he was the guy that ran the whole band. He had the rehearsal space. He did all the bookings. So the band's done anyways. I would have had to leave. It was only about, I don't know, not even a year later when that happened. So it's not like I left and they fell to ruins. They replaced me with some other guy, played for a while, and then I'm not sure what happened after that. But then I heard later on that their guitarist who ran the business then passed on. So my point with telling you this stuff has nothing to do with the workshop. It's really just how I handle myself professionally. Even through mouth running and people who are disrespectful, when I have a reason that's greater than, continuing on with that project, that's what I have to do. If there was something with my kid, some kind of issue, like I couldn't go to the last blues show over the holidays because I had to spend 2 days in the hospital with my daughter because of some health issues, and we took care of it, and she's all better now. But I couldn't go to I think that was the last show of 2025 on the Twig stage with NRP. And I had to spend 2 days at UVA. Again, family comes first, so I couldn't go, So I love playing there. I played there numerous times with NRP and other venues as well, with my blues show appearances over a year now. But on bass, bass guitar, of course, that's my main instrument. I'm a professional bass player, for those of you who don't know me. I won 3 national awards, 2 from Billboard magazine, 1 from the University of Virginia, the Nationals, for jazz bass category, and the two from Billboard magazine were rock bass. We had award-winning album, record deal offered from Atlantic Records subsidiary, which is on YouTube, actually, the Roger Sherman Music, which I've mentioned before, but whatever. So why I tell you this stuff, like credentials and all that, is just for people who don't know me or have just joined me and never watched my stuff before. Anyone who's been following my work has seen me mention this stuff before. So for those of you who know this, sorry for being redundant, but it's just for the new people. Everybody's welcome here at Darkanica. No politics, no just stupidity. I don't care what side of the political fence you're on. I'm a conservative, but I'm not an activist. I've gotten rid of most of the activists on my profile, all my social media, for a reason, because I don't want to listen to blatting about it. Music is a way to bond people in a way that nothing else really does. Politics divide people. Music brings them together, right? So, just the way I look at that is music is an escape from all that stuff, and, regardless of what's going on in your life, regardless of what your political viewpoints are, you can leave all that at the door and you just play music, especially as a performer and audience. I appreciate all the audiences that I've performed for over the last year and for decades before that in multiple venues all over the tri-state area. As well, I thank everyone who has always come out to the shows, and especially in the blues community that I'm a part of now over the last year or so. And I mentioned this on a post from the recent show I did at the Opera House with some great performers there in Enosburg Falls, Vermont. And I mentioned this, that the blues community is really a community of respect and mutual love of music, and the audiences that come out are great, and they're engaged and involved in the music. They love it and very receptive, and the performers have all been great. I've met a lot of great people over the last year or so. And it's really been a great, enlightening experience, especially after the tragedy I dealt with, over a year ago, losing my soulmate. And I'm not looking for sympathy or whatever. I'm just saying that I could have gone south, and I don't mean direction south. I mean, bad, really bad. It was awful, heartbreaking, most god-awful thing I've ever dealt with my entire life. But, acceptance and moving forward, that's how you deal with that sort of thing. The only way I know how to deal with it. That I would have lost my mind, I wouldn't even be doing any of this stuff. I'd be in an asylum or something, you know? So, yeah, I mean, you have to find your own way of getting through hard things in life like that. And I know other people have experienced loss, but it's different when it's your turn, you know? I can tell you that much through experience. And how this all relates to playing in this workshop is that, you know, if your personal life is a train wreck, it's really hard to commit to anything. You need to take care of that stuff first. Then you can do this stuff and have more fun because you're not thinking about that stuff. Of course, you can just let it go anyways. There were times on stage with Give and Groove back in the early 2000s. You know, that was a busy project. I probably played 600 plus shows with that project as well, just like some of the earlier projects that I've mentioned before. You know, I played over 4,500 shows, I mean, in total since I was a teenager. I've been playing in professional bands, which is why I had to quit football. Played football for 4 years. I was a state champion linebacker. Because the bands, you know, every weekend and rehearsals, it just took up all my time. And I played in the MAU jazz band for 4 years, and, you know, music completely took me over by the time I was an early teenager. So, you know, my popularity went in school down the tubes, you know, because I was hanging out with the musicians, not the jocks anymore, you know. So, but I don't regret it, and I would have done the same thing all over again because, yes, I'm good at sports, but I'm better at music, you know. That's about it, really. I mean, it's really about, I know I'm getting in a little bit of philosophy and concept here more than, it's because all these things kind of support your mindset when you're playing. I think that's why I bring this stuff up sometimes. Not that any of you really care about my personal life or my history, because remember, history is history. It already happened, right? As much as I like history, it already happened, you know. I'm about today and moving forward, you know, not just focus on one point and then just pound on that forever. It's done. Let's move on to the next thing, you know. Like, there's a show in St. Johnsbury this week. I'm not sure if I'll be able, it depends on the weather. I've played on that stage numerous times. I posted footage of it numerous times. Down at 98 Mill, and I'd like to make it. I see Thursday night there's a show, another show, and my bro Nate Machoud is hosting there, so always a great time there. Great food, great people, beautiful women that work there, and the staff. I mean, nice, you know. Eye candy, you know. But beyond that, the audiences are great there, very receptive. And I've done numerous shows there, and I've had a lot of fun there. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make that one or not. I would like to get down there to get some more footage for you all. You know, again, today and moving forward, you know. I'm not sure if it depends on the weather and stuff. I've got my car's all set and serviced, and, you know, I have the money to go. It's not that. It's just the weather. You know, I drive a 500 horsepower muscle car, which I'm working on getting a truck. That's going to be it's going to be a couple more years before I can get back into a truck, which I drove trucks for years. I don't know what this muscle car phase was, but been driving Challenger V8s for about the last 8 years, and by the time I can get back into a truck, it'll be 10 years. That's enough. I love muscle cars, but not so good in the wintertime travel. I have to put weight over the rear axle, and, you know, so hopefully I can, and plus it'll get me more reliability in winter to make more of these winter shows too as well. That's why I had to kind of crank that back because of weather, you know. The one at Twigs is literally 10 minutes from my house, so that's not a big deal even if it's bad weather. 98 Mill, that's 2 hours from my house, so that's a little different over mountainous roads, and, you know, beautiful area though. Danville and that whole area is absolutely gorgeous. In the fall, it was amazing. I loved doing the shows in the fall there. Just the ride, you know, the ride was beautiful. You know, I'm not a tourist. I've lived here my whole life. I lived in Boston and Long Island. Did shows with bands down there as well. Went to college in Boston. Well, Newton Center, Boston, whatever. I played in bands on the East Coast. I played shows down in Long Island with an old frontman who is also passed on now. Played shows down there. Rest in peace, Ron Olson. He was a great player. He's the one I first did shows with as a kid. He's the one that got me learned how to play live, and then I joined my cousin's band. And I don't want to go through my whole musical history and bore everybody because we got to get back to the workshop topic here. But if you play with good performers like that who are experienced, you can always learn from them what to do live, not just in your own playing and learning your skills and a fretboard and a theory and all the things that go along with that, but being a performer out live. There's a vibe to that and a knack to it that, you got to have some finesse. You're in public, you're in front of people. You've got to have awareness of your sound, material selection that you're playing, and all those sorts of things that go into if you want to have a product that people want to pay money to see. So in other words, venue managers hiring you back because you've packed a dance floor. It might not all be your favorite songs, on the set list, but they work, Like I was saying about the Grateful Dead thing. Now, I didn't grow up loving the Grateful Dead. They're a great band. I respect their accomplishments. They were huge for many decades. But I'm a hard rock guy. My origins are, Alice Cooper, AC/DC, Black Sabbath, and that kind of stuff, where, Grateful Dead was a little on the mellow side for me. But when you play it out in front of people, as I said before, that stuff works. And I didn't just find that out recently. That's something I've known for a long time. It really reminded me of that at the Opera House the other night, the other night, last week, whatever. The interaction and reactions from certain artists like that. Like if I played Brown Eyed Girl anywhere, the dance floor will pack and the whole place will be hopping. Anywhere. If I play songs like that, any Grateful Dead song will pretty much work like that. Sugar Magnolia, Truckin's my favorite. It's the same kind of thing, Cat Stevens, some of that, Wild World, that kind of stuff. That all works pretty much in universal audiences everywhere. Unless you go to a metal club and, they just hire metal bands. And those are more in the big cities than they are in the rural areas like Vermont, But, demographics, folks, demographics. Let's get to it. So I'm going to try, let's see. I'll slow the tempo down a little bit on that beat sequence, and we'll try a different approach with some variations on that arrangement. And I'll show you, why I'm playing this is I'm showing you what I would do. I'm not just sitting here and noodling and, hey, look at me, And there's an actual method to this stuff. This is how I write, for one thing, mold and shape, sculpting parts, but specifically for MP3s. That's why you'll see more melodic stuff and constructed patterns and things that I would work vocals into. Because I always start with rhythm guitar and vocals, and then everything else comes afterwards, usually. Most of the time on my original music. So, all right, let's go. as you can see, I added in more parts that were not in the original example piece. That's what I do. You build off of the original idea, patterns, and I just build onto it. Now, obviously, I shortened up the phrasing on some of those parts. With lyrics, they would be more measures in those sections, obviously. I've just shortened it up for sake of time in this workshop. So, as you can see, I mean, I guess I could just keep going and showing you this stuff, which I'll do some more. I like doing these kind of workshops better because I don't have to get the theory book out. I don't have to go into explanations of everything that I'm doing. I do that sometimes with certain stuff, like if I'm getting into hexatonic, if I'm getting into arpeggios, seventh chords, whatever, and I will tell you what I'm doing. Like I did that. There was a solo bass. I don't think it was a workshop. It was just a regular instrumental set that I did, where I used my Mud Thumper there, my Vintage 2 series, and I based it on the Phrygian dominant scale and then built off that. That was kind of cool. I'm going to do more of that, but I've been working more on my songwriting stuff lately to get these soundstage performances going, because that's what really sends me off out there, the soundstage full performances. So that's why, and MP3s do as well. Remember, do as well, not do's as well. Do as well. I'll try to say it right next time. The third time. Yeah, so SoundCloud would be my name, and on Reverb Nation it would be my last solo project, Bass Lightning. And there are two separate sets of music pulled from various solo albums that I've done. I have the masters here in the studio on CD. However, I need to do conversions with all that stuff to get it onto a thumb drive to share more of that stuff out there, and I just haven't done that yet. I had Cakewalk conversion software, and I have no idea where it went. It's in my stuff somewhere. And I don't think it's compatible because the software is too old and my computer's too new. So I may have to get a new conversion system for sharing, because I don't have Pro Tools. Pro Tools automatically MP3s it when you master. In the mastering session, you can actually, how I know this, my brother has Pro Tools, he did some mastering for me and helped with some of my later stuff there you'll hear on SoundCloud. So I give him credit. My brother, Gene Rice, he's a professional bassist as well. He's left-handed. He lives down in South Carolina now, but he did live here for, a long time. He was born and raised in Bennington like I was. And he also plays guitar as well. He's into prog blues stuff on guitar. And so if you check him out on this platform, Gene Rice, we all call him Gene. That's my younger brother. He's about 8 years younger than me. Great bass player. He's played for Keegan Nolan and others, and other bands, in tri-state area, just like I have, and so yeah, I mean, that's really what it is it's about mold and shape. Sculpting parts are in the mold and shape process, but with me, it's really, I'm formulating parts that I think lyrics would fit over the top of good, if that makes sense to you all. So that's why I'm really working on, I'm shortening the phrasing up, realizing the phrasing will get extended when and lyrics get inserted in. If these even become songs, these are just example pieces for this workshop, So let's get this going some more so I don't put you all to sleep. And we're building off the same example. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it right in front of you in fruition, folks. I mean, that's how I mold and shape, sculpt my parts, and write all the time. That's what I've done for a long time, you know. is I will just play around with some ideas. You can see where I inserted and added parts, changed stuff around, took some parts out on the last version of that example. I do that on purpose. It's not like I'm not trying to cement the framework until I have lyrics, really. That's why I'm really just looking for some tone centers and some stuff that'll work for if I'm going to put this together as a real piece that I'm going to present on soundstage or MP3. That's the way I do it, and I'm always keeping that in mind. Like, okay, what's going to work with lyrics? What's not going to work? Is that too choppy? Can I add more melodic texture on a certain turnaround section or during the verse itself and stuff like that, So that's really how I do it, folks. It's not any kind of big mystery. It's just learning how to play good, get your skills good, and then you can branch out from there through your studies. It's a lifetime journey. As I always say, journey to mastery is a never-ending trail, So I am a more experienced bass player than guitar player, which, on a professional end, out live in front of people. So, I've always marketed myself as a bassist and vocalist because bass is really, that's really my heartbeat. That's really who I am. I'm a professional bass player. Although I could do guitar, but I'd have to just focus on this all the time and nothing else, and I don't want to do that. I like to just keep it fun. Bass is my tool, guitar is my toy, right? As I always say. I'm sure that phrase has become a cliche by now, but that's true. That's what represents me, as a player, so... I'm August Siri, and until we meet again, thanks for joining me for this workshop. Check out all of my stuff on my timeline and my YouTube channel, Hard Rock Vermont, for all my latest live performances out with other artists and workshops and studio performances here from my own black heart. Thank you all, and we'll catch you again on the next one. Thank you.